The events in West Kingston have an obvious dark side. While it must be a good thing that the agencies of state and country have now returned to what was previously a no-go area, it is crucial that we continue to recognise and highlight the obligations of the state to the citizens in these communities. And I know that Prime Minister Golding himself made that very observation to G8 leaders in Canada this past weekend, including my own Prime Minister. The rise in the Dons was, after all, in part due to a failure of government and governance, a failure to provide a secure social and security structure for some of the poorest and most vulnerable people in Jamaica. As well as the fight against crime, we must also continue the fight against poverty. That is why social intervention has to happen as a matter of priority, to avoid these communities drifting back in to being under the influence of criminal dons, godfathers, call them what you will. We would therefore support JFJ and others who are calling for an independent inquiry into what had happened in Tivoli in May, and most importantly, what lessons can be learned. Only by being transparent, open, and by asking often uncomfortable questions can we hope to heal many of the wounds that have obviously been left behind by the events of May 2010. Like many, we in the British High Commission and the UK government have had concerns over the handling of the post-mortems and the aftermath of the events. And we hope that the pressure will continue from the Public Defender, from organisations like JFJ, to ensure that they are all carried out professionally and as quickly as possible. And the UK government is indeed already involved in some of that work already. We know from long experience in the UK, and let's face it, much of it by getting it very, very wrong, that getting the balance right between liberty and security is a real and ongoing challenge. All governments search for rapid, targeted and effective solutions. Civil society seeks the same, and the public rightly demand them. And it's undoubtedly the case that Jamaica, even after the state of emergency, still faces an epidemic of crime and violence. A state of emergency has, in my opinion, a very real role to play. But is a state of emergency on its own the answer? As this report points out, so many of the problems in the security and justice sphere in Jamaica do not stem from any lack of laws. They stem from failures of implementation and failures of social justice. The most well-enforced state of emergency will not on its own create social justice and opportunities for people, or cleaner, more transparent government. More is required, and civil society has a huge role to play in shaping that debate. The report being launched tonight demonstrates that JFJ has effectively managed to transform the understanding of human rights and civil activism in Jamaica over the last 10 years. It's one of the most fundamental changes that I've noticed in my 8 years gap between being here in Jamaica in 2001 and returning in 2009. But the battle goes on, and is perhaps entering its most crucial phase of all. The importance of balancing security and liberty cannot be ignored. In the rush to confront criminality, we must not forget the rule of law and civil rights. If we do, we achieve only a hollow victory. The words of Roger Nash Baldwin, which I quoted earlier, stress the importance of pressure from below on those above. JFJ are a perfect example of this kind of pressure. In the coming months and years, I trust that you will maintain that pressure, and in partnership with wider civil society in Jamaica, keep reaching for that shared goal. Thank you very much.